Hello and welcome back to our study of the Dhammapada. Today we continue on with verse number 57, which reads as follows. Te sang sampanna silanang appamada viharinang sammadanya vimuttanang maro magang nawindati. Which means, for those Te sang sampanna silanang, for those who are endowed with morality, appamada viharinang, dwelling in vigilance or without negligence, sammadanya vimuttanang, who are liberated through wisdom, through right wisdom, or rightly through wisdom. Maro magang nawindati, Mara is unable to find their path. And this teaching was given in regards to a story that is a little bit hard to explain, or a little bit controversial. And I'll explain it. It'll become clear as I tell the story. There was a monk, Godika. He was dwelling in Black Rock near Rajagaha. When the Buddha was dwelling in Rajagaha, Godhika was dwelling at Black Rock, and he was practicing what appears to be samatha meditation. So he was attaining what we call ceto vimutti, liberation of mind, which comes through the attainment of the jhanas, the samatha jhanas. So he had this profound peace and tranquility in his mind, and he was able to enter them quite easily. But then he became sick, and he had this sickness prevented him, or it didn't prevent him, but it was such that every time he attained to this liberation, or to the worldly meditative attainment, he would slip away from it. So he was unable to sustain it. And this happened once, it happened twice, it happened 3 times, it happened 6 times. And so the 7th time that it happened, he made a resolution. He said, "Look, I'm dying here, and if I die without, it's clear I'm going back and forth in between the jhana and an ordinary mind state. And if I die in an ordinary mind state, it's not sure where I'm going to go. I might wind up in hell. I might wind up as an animal. But if I die in a meditative state, then for sure, at least, I will go to the higher God realms as a Brahma." I'll explain about that after. And so he made a decision. He took his razor that he would use to cut his hair, and he went into his kuti, his hut, and he lay down, and he decided that he was going to kill himself. He was going to cut his windpipe with this razor. And Mara, the evil one, who is like the Buddhist Satan, he came along and saw that this was happening, and due to his own understanding, seems to be misunderstanding of the way things work, he thought that if he agreed with this monk. He said, "Well, if this monk kills himself, he'll go to the high Brahma realms where he'll be free from my domain. And I don't want that, so I'll go and I'll convince the Buddha to tell his student not to kill himself, because surely the Buddha doesn't want his students to kill themselves." And so Mara went to the Buddha. Mara is like this evil spirit, and he said to the Buddha, "Oh, that your student, even though he's practicing to overcome death, and he's entered into this state of trying to overcome death, or of overcoming death, or whatever, still he's afraid of death, or he's still contemplating death, or he's going to kill himself." And the Buddha brushes him off and says that he is this monk is someone who is not afraid of death, who is someone who has overcome death, who is set in morality, and so on and so on. And brushes off Mara and says, "Leave me be," and goes to Black Rock, to where this monk is staying, takes the monks there, and goes and sees Godika, and sees that Godika actually has taken his life. And Mara is there as well, and Mara comes and sees that Godika has died, and he vanishes and starts racing around the universe trying to find where Godika has been reborn. And he appears as this kind of a black cloud. And this is something you see, it reoccurs in the Buddha's teaching, where Mara, whenever he's looking for someone, where they've been reborn, he's like this black cloud going through the racing through the skies, trying to find this being where they've been reborn, where they've continued. And the Buddha says, you see that black cloud up there? That's Mara, and he's trying to find where this monk has been reborn, and he won't ever find where Godika has been reborn, because Godika has become an arahant. He's become free from suffering. Mara comes back and asks him basically that, where has he gone? And the Buddha said, you'll never find such a person. You'll never find Godika. And then he gave this verse teaching. He said, even 1,000 of you, 1,000 Maras or 1,000 angels or 1,000 spirits couldn't find such a being. And then he gave the verse, for those who are endowed with morality and virtuous conduct, who dwell in vigilance and are liberated through right wisdom, Mara cannot find their path.